Let's jump to this story from the Daily Mail. Trump counter-snipers' chilling text messages before assassination attempt reveal how gunman was one step ahead of Secret Service and local law enforcement. That's not true. The text messages reveal that Secret Service actually knew exactly what he was doing the whole time and did nothing. Take a look at this. Let's pull up these texts. Someone followed our lead and snuck in and just parked by our cars, just so you know. I'm just letting you know because you see me go out with my rifle and put it in my car so he knows you guys are up there. He's sitting to the direct right on a picnic table about 50 yards from the exit. So at 4:26, Secret Service is aware that someone snuck in right behind him. They did nothing. They didn't say, hey, guy, what are you doing? They didn't say, hey, hands in the air. You have just snuck into a secure zone with Secret Service. I was at Mar-a-Lago with Secret Service, and they'd have a Secret Service agent, and you'd walk by and say, can I help you? Where are you going? And I'm like, oh, we're going to go downstairs. We're going to the party or whatever. And they'd be like, turn around, go the other way. You have to go down those stairs. And we'd be like, okay. You mean to tell me a guy sneaks in and they're like, that's fine. Take a look. There's more. Thumbs up. Roger that.
Yo, the just so
Nothing
you know
done.
in the one text has a lot of heavy lifting.
Has a lot of heavy lifting.
Why are you saying just so you know?
Here's more. They post pictures of the guy. They say, kid learning around building we are in. I think they meant lurking. AGR, I believe it is. I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards stage for your information. If you want to notify SS snipers to look out, I lost sight of him. Also, a bike with a backpack sitting next to it in rear of building that was not seen earlier. Call it into command and have a uniform check it out. 5:40 p.m.
Seems a little lax.
Seems like
I lost sight of him. What?
Huh?
What's the explanation? He snuck in and they were like, that's fine.
All of this just seems like it's chaos. The other day we were talking about flooding the zone with information to just make everyone not know what's going on.
Yep.
All this seems like it's part of that. Just dump everything out. Let everyone who believes anything believe anything they want.
Well, it's true because we're trying to figure out what happened on this day. And of course, we're believing these law enforcement sources because they're somewhat damning to Secret Service. So we're like, wow, look at these texts. They kind of knew. It could be way worse than we realize. And this could be the cover-up. I have no idea. But I will tell you this. It's pretty wild how the left just believes literally anything. Like the Project 2025 stuff, it's just like this weird made up stuff. And they're all like, yep, they just believe it.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. You know, I had this moderate journalist hit me up and said, they asked me, how come we're not audience captured? And I was like, I don't know what you mean. And she was just like, well, I watch all these other YouTube shows and no one ever pushes back on comments or chats. You're the only show I've ever seen even do it once. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, if someone comments and I think they're wrong, I'll tell them they're wrong, I guess. But this is the reality that most people will march in lockstep. But that being said, on our side, you can't get away with lying like this. If I said something like the Second Amendment never protected cannons, the chat would explode. I'd make $10 million in super chats from everyone telling me I was wrong. And they'd be like, that's not correct. You are wrong. You are lying. Fix it. Correct it. Now, for the most part, because people watching know that I'm trying to get the facts right, when I get something wrong, they'll comment. They'll say, hey, Tim, you were wrong about this. It's this thing. Like the other day, I said River Seine, and they said, Tim, it's pronounced Seine. And I went, okay, thank you. Yeah. It is pronounced River Seine. Yep. And people will correct me on something. I'll say, oh, okay, well, there you go. I didn't know that. Yeah. Most shows don't do that. Most, like Rachel Maddow, none of the people watching fact check her. She says, Donald Trump brought a clown to his birthday party. And they'll go, what? For real?
Lord of the Rings is a gateway to white nationalism.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying lately.
She said that?
No, yeah.
Wait, recently said that?
I think she said recently. Because J.D. Vance, right?
He's a fan of Lord of the Rings?
I believe so. It seemed like they were redoing what happened with, what's his name, who was reading Ayn Rand with Mitt Romney. Paul, what's it?
They tried making Lord of the Rings white supremacy a long time ago, claiming that orcs were black people and that it was like a reference to, and it's like, it's not. That's not. It's like Tolkien explains a lot of this stuff, and it's not a reference at all. Like, but they need everything to be racist because they want to destroy art and history and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But going back to the Trump stuff, the question is, as Tucker mentioned, we may get answers on this one because I think Hannah Claire was mentioning it before. Democrats get Secret Service protection as well, and if this is allowed to stand, who's going to trust any Secret Service protection ever again? Right.
I was actually kind of interested. I don't know if you saw this, but they announced who was going to be on the House committee that's investigating the Secret Service. And some of the Democrats that are on there, from my anecdotal research or my experience with their names, they tend to have good relationships with fairly conservative members of Congress. Like I'm thinking of Jared Mikowski. He's from Florida. I know he was like the Santa at Tim Burchett's Christmas party. Like they work together on a couple different committees. And so it's kind of interesting to me because when they had the January 6th committee, they put on people that Republicans were like, no, they're not effective members. They're not going to represent the side. Democrats are like, no, we're bringing them on. Whereas maybe there is a more neutral, less progressive faction of Democrats that are going to be on and are going to ask these real questions. Because again, like the Secret Service is something taxpayers pay for with the guarantee that they protect both Republicans and Democrats. So if you believe that this was only targeted at Trump and it's because of Secret Service failures, that means anyone protected by them is at risk. Unless you think, oh no, the Secret Service only wanted something to happen to Donald Trump, which would be also a problem.
Why aren't Secret Service talking with like earpieces?
They're texting each other on the phone.
Why are they texting?
They weren't at the security briefing. There was a threat lurking around with a rangefinder, and they said, send Trump out. It's fine.
Yeah.
How are those real?
Yeah, you know, again, this is so antithetical to the Secret Service that I worked with. I mean, this is it was just professional. The meetings beforehand, you know, the earpieces, the communications, everybody was on the same network. You know, there was no problem with talking to local police departments that were affiliated with, you know, trying to enhance the security. It was just all like clockwork. I just, again, you know, it makes me think it was intentional.
I think it was Cy Hirsch who reported on some of the JFK stuff that happened at, you know, in the grassy knoll. I believe he was saying that there were a lot of switch arounds with the Secret Service last minute before what happened went down.
Right.
Which, when this happened, I immediately thought of that, you know, and it's very possible. Just put in the rookies, you know, see who's around the area. Just throw them in there. You know, we don't have enough. Jill Biden's got something else going on.
It wasn't the A team. I can tell you that. It wasn't the A team.
I don't even think it was the B team or the C team.
Yeah. All it takes is one logistical specialist, agent, or whatever, to simply say, don't worry, we took care of it. Hey, there's a guy lurking around. What do you think? It's fine. Roger that. All under control. Yeah. And then they send out Donald Trump. So I don't know that we actually get this story. Maybe if Donald Trump wins, we'll figure something out. I hope he does. There's a lot of people who should be pardoned that are being unjustly held for insane violations of due process.
Right. And one of the challenges is that it's the federal government investigating other branches of the federal government. So, like, hypothetically, if this House committee is pretty effective, in which we've seen them struggle with subpoenas and trying to get people to answer questions, like, if they are able to get something else, it's, you know, we're about to be in August. They can get information out. When would it be? September? October? You know, I don't think we'll have answers before January. But if we do, it could really have an impact on how the election goes, and everyone who's involved with that is aware of it.
I could see them stonewalling transparency from the Democratic side if it makes Trump look like a victim, because they love to be the victim class, and the last thing they want their enemy to be is a victim.
And it interrupts the political violence narrative that they have been pushing for a long time, that political violence only comes from the right. You know, if this, you know, as I think it was, ideologically motivated, then ultimately, you know, it goes against everything they have been trying to claim for a long time here.
Absolutely.
I made this point earlier this morning that it's frustrating sometimes when there's big news stories, because I'm trying to put together a couple shows per day where we break down a bunch of different stories and say, here's what's happening in the world, here's what we think about them. When there's one big news story, the entire front page of every website has nothing but that story. And it makes it very difficult because it's like we've read everything we could read about this story. I mean, you can't squeeze 2 hours talking about one story no matter what you do. And so often what happens is on my morning show, I'll end up pulling in like some cultural commentary. It's like, here's some fat liberal saying that ice cream should be government mandated or something. Right. And it's like not really that big of news, but it allows me to opine on cultural stuff. Donald Trump nearly dies. Breaking news, major historical moment, and the news is moving on from it rapidly and trying to downplay it. And Google won't let you search for it, and Facebook is covering the photo up. I'm actually pretty surprised that, I know it's been 2 weeks, but you'd think still there would be like Congress would be doing nothing but this. If it was Joe Biden, I guarantee you for 2 weeks, the whole world would be like the whole world, not even just the country, would be like nothing but this.
Yep. Yeah. They effectively erased an assassination attempt.
Well, and I think that's part of the timing of when Biden withdrew, right? I mean, they knew that nothing was going to interrupt the conversation about the assassination attempt, especially considering that the RNC was right after and people were really, you know, kind of rallied by Donald Trump's appearance there, unless Biden dropped out. That was the only way to reset the media narrative.
Yeah, and the thing that happens with all these big events, like you're talking about reading the news, everything, everyone's writing about everything. I keep thinking of East Palestine with this stuff because I think there's an amount of incompetence and intention behind these like violent situations. So everyone's seeing the mushroom cloud in East Palestine, train blew up. And then no one's really following up with all the crazy stuff that comes out, it trickles out later, over a year. Norfolk Southern stopped, we would find out Norfolk Southern stopped doing real inspections on train cars. It was like a minute and a half for each side of a train car, went down to 30 seconds. And all these things kind of added up. So people following along be like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now, supposedly. And we'll probably get something like that over the next, year or 30 years when it comes to Trump and this assassination attempt.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.